Hello, everybody. It is that time of year. The World Cup is about to be upon us. It is currently June 10th, the time that I'm recording this. So the World Cup actually starts tomorrow. But today I'm going to be going through the entire World Cup, the group stage, the knockout rounds, and then obviously the final. And I'm going to be giving my World Cup 2026 predictions. I'm also going to be giving you guys my Golden Boot winner, my Golden Ball winner, so top goal scorer and best player of the tournament, my young player of the tournament, and my goalkeeper of the tournament. I'm also going to be giving you guys my dark horses, and I'm going to go ahead and preface this now. There is going to be a little bit of bias. There are a few nations who I care about and like way more than the others. Obviously, my number one being Argentina, who's also the number one ranked nation in the world at the moment as of today. But I'm also going to be realistic. I'm also going to give my real expectations. So if your favorite country gets knocked out or if they don't do as well as I think they're going to do, I'm sorry, but this is just my opinion. It's coming from my baller knowledge. It's coming from what I think is going to happen. So we start off with Group A, which is Mexico, Korea, South Africa, and Czech. And as you see, I've already put Mexico in there because I accidentally messed up. But realistically, I can see two teams getting in first and second place, and that is Mexico or South Korea. I think Mexico has a huge home field advantage. Obviously, playing in Mexico City at the Azteca in their opener tomorrow against South Africa, and then they play South Korea and then Czech. Realistically, I think Mexico should do well. I also think Mexico is the best nation out of all of the host nations. So I'm going to say that they get first and South Korea get second. And I'm going to put Czech in third and South Africa in last. Realistically, I just don't think South Africa has a lot of upcoming talent. I think Czech, as a European nation, probably will get the better of South Africa. And that's just kind of what I think is going to happen. South Korea, I definitely could see topping the group. I could definitely see these two swapping places, but just because of home field advantage, I'm going to say Mexico get the top group. Next, we go on to Group B, which is Canada, Switzerland, Qatar, and Bosnia-Herzegovina. We're going to go ahead and just start this off by saying that Qatar will get last, which I messed up again. I can't move that. But I think Switzerland is actually going to end up on top in this group. I think Canada will be second, and I think Bosnia will be third, and Qatar will be last. Qatar not scoring any goals, I believe, in the last World Cup, or if they did, they scored one. And they were the host nation of the last World Cup. Bosnia-Herzegovina only make it to this World Cup by beating Italy on penalties. Not really too convincing. Canada, I've watched a little bit of Canada over the last couple years, and they just don't seem too convincing either. And I think Switzerland, once again, as a footballing nation, I think that they will kind of go up there in their first group. I don't think the home field advantage for Canada will be enough. So we'll just have to see what happens there. Group C, which is Brazil, Morocco, Scotland, and Haiti. This is where one of my dark horse predictions and one of something that I think is really controversial that I'm going to say, but I believe Morocco will top this group. I think Carlo Ancelotti's Brazil isn't as promising as Brazil's of the past. I also think that they've done a terrible job in their selection for who they should bring up. I think bringing up Neymar is a awful idea. He's around 34 to 35. He's super injury prone. He's out of shape, and leaving people like Anthony, João Pedro at home, I think was just not the smartest choice in my opinion. Then I think we will have Scotland, and then I think Haiti will come last in this group. But yeah, I think Morocco is the best African nation at this World Cup, and I think, based off of their 2022 performance and how they're going in now with a solid squad as well, I think that they will be one of the biggest dark horses at this tournament, and I also think that they will top this group. But that's just my hot take. Next, we have the US, Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey. I'm going to go ahead and say this now. I think Turkey will top this group. I know the U.S. is one of the biggest host nations and has the most games here and whatever, but they do not have a promising squad. I realistically think that they just are not up to par. I think Pochettino at the helm also doesn't really quite understand what he's doing with this team. But then again, he's not blessed with a super squad like talented amount of players. So I'm going to go ahead and say Turkey along with Arda Güler and some of their other promising footballers that they top this group. Then I'm going to say USA do get second because they do have home field advantage. And also Paraguay and Australia just are not high ranked in the FIFA rankings. And I don't think that they will go very far in terms of that. But I think Paraguay will get third, and I think Australia will get last. Moving on to Group E, which is Germany, Ecuador, Cote d'Ivoire, and Curacao, I believe. Obviously, I think Germany will take this. I think, while I don't rate Germany super highly, I obviously know that they are the football national team with the most history in this group. I think they also have just the better squad overall in all these groups. My second place pick, I think, is going to be Cote d'Ivoire or Ivory Coast. I think Cote d'Ivoire, coming off of a win against France, who is the number second or third ranked nation in the world right now, on their friendlies is really promising. I don't think they played bad football in particularly, and also I think they are all like one of a nation to watch just for fun, and I think they probably are the second best nation in this group, coming off of that international win against France, who have one of the biggest squad depths in the tournament. I think Ecuador will be third, and I think Curacao will be last. Then we go on to Group F, which is Netherlands, Japan, Tunisia, and Sweden. Now, a lot of people would probably say that Netherlands gets first. I'm not so sure. I honestly think Japan could get first in this group, and I think Netherlands could get second. Obviously, I know that is a crazy take and a big shout, but Japan has had really good tournaments over the last two World Cups in their standards. I believe getting to the quarterfinals in both of the two last World Cup participations. So I generally don't understand why that they could not get first. Netherlands doesn't seem too pleasing, based off of their last performances. They had a quarterfinal knockout in their last World Cup, and I haven't seen much promise from them as well. Leading up to this tournament, there's just not a lot to talk about there. It's pretty much the same squad as they had in the last World Cup 4 years ago. So, I don't see anything really promising. I do think Sweden will get third, and I think Tunisia will get last in this group. Next, we have Group G, which is Belgium, Iran, Egypt, and New Zealand. Belgium, I think, will get first, despite taking the same amount of players or the same 20 or 30 players that they take to the World Cup every single year. Their golden age dying. It is a horse that is being beaten over and over and over again. But that being said, I do think that they have the best squad in this group, and I think they will get first. My next pick, I think, will be Egypt. I think Mohamed Salah and co will take the second place ranking in this group, moving on to the knockout rounds. And then I think, honestly, a toss-up between either two of these nations. I don't particularly watch their football a lot, and I haven't watched them going into this World Cup, but probably Iran and then New Zealand, because I know New Zealand is ranked pretty low. Then we have Group H, which is a very interesting group, having two powerhouses, I believe, and two kind of, for lack of better terms, shitters in there. But I believe Spain will get first, Uruguay will go second, Saudi Arabia will get third, and Cape Verde will get fourth. Spain, I believe, is the number 2 ranked nation in the world right now, and I also believe that they are the best balanced squad at the World Cup. While they are very young and they don't have, I think they have like 1 or 2 veterans coming with them into this World Cup. They have a very young but very promising squad. They're also the Euro 2024 winners, so they are the champions of their, respective continent. Uruguay, 2-time World Cup champion, not as promising squad as they've had in the last couple years, but that nevertheless, they still have some good names in there, like Frederic Valverde at the helm. And I think that they will, scrape by with second place. Obviously, Saudi Arabia and Cape Verde not being too big of opponents for them, I think that they will be fine. Now we move on to Group I, which is France, Senegal, Norway, and Iraq. Some people are calling this the Group of Death, and for fair reason. Obviously, we have France, who has the biggest depth, I believe, with the squad in terms of forwards and midfielders. Obviously, things like Kylian Mbappe, current Ballon d'Or winner Dembele, Bradley Barcola, Desiree Doué, and more and more and more. They just have so much talent, especially in that attacking third. I do think France will get first. I don't think there's a world where that they don't get first. Come on. They've been to 2 World Cup finals back to back. I'm sure they're aiming for a third. But I will tell y'all later if they obviously do that this year. But I'm going to say that they get first. I'm going to say Norway gets second. Obviously, we all know why we're watching Norway this year. It is for Erling Haaland and co. Erling Haaland, I'm sure, is going to blast on the scene, scoring a massive amounts of goals in this World Cup, probably against Senegal and Iraq. But if any team can beat France or tie France and make it a little bit difficult for them to get this first place in this group, I think it would be Norway. Next, I think, is Senegal, who have a good team as well. I just think that that robot up front will blow past their defense and probably beat them in whatever game that they match up in, and then Iraq is dead last. Moving on to Group J, Argentina, Austria, Algeria, and Jordan. Obviously, this is the group that I'm going to be watching the most, as I love Argentina, and I'm going to be rooting for them in this World Cup. They are current World Cup champions, winning in Qatar in 2022 against France, the legendary World Cup where Messi finally got his hands on the trophy. Obviously, they are first. They're defending champions. I expect them to go very far in this World Cup. I don't expect anything less from them, especially in this group, to get first place. Next, I think, will be Algeria. Then I think it will be Austria and then Jordan. Obviously, this is a very, very, kind of misscaled group. Argentina being the world champions, I expect them to blow out every team in this group. I believe that their most challenging group is Algeria, or their most challenging opponent is Algeria. Austria, I don't think that they'd give them much of a contest, but that game is being played in Dallas, and I might be going to that game since Dallas obviously is where I live, and I'm really excited because I would love to go to that game and be able to see Messi play a World Cup game live. I'm very, very excited for that. Then we move on to Group K, which is Portugal, Colombia, Uzbekistan, and oh gosh, which nation is this? Oh, DR Congo. Obviously, I'm not putting them first. I just need to remember that their name. So this is another hot take. I know a lot of people at this World Cup are expecting Portugal to get first in this group and also to go very far. I've seen predictions of people say that Portugal will go to the final and that they're the best team at the World Cup and yada, 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 yada. I do believe Portugal have probably the best midfield at this tournament. However, there's a problem. And it's a 41-year-old narcissist at the helm. Cristiano Ronaldo, I believe, while it is his last World Cup, I believe he's too old to be the front runner at this World Cup. And seeing the international friendlies, I know there's another one later today, which I will watch, but watching the last two, his performances really haven't been very moving to me. He doesn't seem World Cup ready. He still seems to be that selfish, arrogant person he's been his entire career, not passing the ball, taking free kicks from 40 to 50 yards out, trying to score bangers. He's just not the player he once was, and I really think that is going to be Portugal's downfall, which is exactly why I believe Colombia is actually going to take first in this group. I think Colombia have that South American grit, and I think that they know how to get the job done. Obviously getting to the final of the Copa America in 2024, but losing to the winners Argentina. I just think Colombia are another one of my dark horses, and I believe that they will get first in this group. I believe that they will beat Portugal whenever they match up, or at least tie, and Portugal will have some problems. They will struggle. That midfield won't be enough to get them past the helm, and I truly believe that Portugal is second in this group, which I know a lot of people aren't expecting, but oh well. And then honestly, Uzbekistan or DR Congo could either come in third or fourth. I'm just going to put Uzbekistan in third and DR Congo fourth, just for the sake of this video. Then we move on to Group L, which I think is personally the group of death. England, Croatia, and Panama, and Ghana. I think this is the hardest group that we have by far. I think it'll be the most entertaining. England versus Croatia is another match happening in Dallas I would love to go to. I think it's going to be an amazing game. Ghana being in there as well, one of the African nations that has a little bit of World Cup history. They usually seem to do decently well at some World Cups. So I'm really excited to see what they have in store. But with that being said, I believe it will go England, Croatia, Ghana, and then Panama going like that. And then we finally get to move on to our third place finishers and knockout rounds. Now we move on to our third place finishers. Here are the teams that I think are going to finish the best out of the third place finishers, which is a little bit hard to predict because obviously it's based off of performance. So, goal differential and how basically pretty much how badly do they get beat by the other teams. So I think the nations that are going to advance are Czech Republic, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Scotland, Paraguay, Ecuador, Sweden, Senegal, and Ghana. Moving on to then the knockout round, which is the round of 32, the first World Cup to ever have a round of 32 due to now the 48 team performance schedule. So we have South Korea versus Canada. I think this is where one of the host nations goes home. I think South Korea will have too much for Canada, despite the home field advantage that Canada will have. Moving on, we've got Germany versus Paraguay. Obviously, Germany will take the win there. There's no doubt about it. Moving on to Japan versus Brazil. Hot take again. I think Japan will beat Brazil. I genuinely think that Brazil will have an underperforming World Cup. Like I said, I don't think Carlo Ancelotti quite knows what he's doing with this squad yet, along with the squad really just not being all that convincing performance-wise. I know it's a hot take. I know Brazil are the kings of the World Cup, winning 5 World Cups in their history, but I just don't think that they're going for a 6th this year. Moving on to Morocco versus Netherlands. This is going to be hard. I really want to put Netherlands, obviously, because I think they are a good footballing nation, but Morocco still is my dark horse pick, and I think they will go far, and I just think that they might have the edge over Netherlands. I just think that they will. Hot take. Then we have France versus Sweden. No doubt about it. France will swipe these guys off the map. Then going to Ivory Coast and Norway. I think Norway will be too much for the Ivory Coast with Erling Haaland and co, and that's just how it will go. We have Mexico versus Scotland, and I think Mexico will win that game just because of the big home field advantage, and also I quite rate them over Scotland. Then we have England versus Senegal, which is a World Cup matchup from the last World Cup, and I think the result will be the same. England will beat Senegal. Turkey versus Bosnia-Herzegovina, I think Turkey are the better of the two, obviously finishing first in their group, so I think they will win. Moving on, we've got Belgium versus Czech Republic. I think Belgium will take the win on that, despite their golden age dying out. Then we have Portugal versus Croatia. I think Portugal will beat Croatia. I think Croatia is a good footballing nation, but I think that their golden generation is also slowly but surely dying, and I think Portugal right now are on the come up. Despite having problems in their squad, I think they will advance on top. Then we have Spain versus Algeria. Spain will obviously beat Algeria. I think Spain are one of the favorites to win this World Cup, and I don't think they'll have a problem here. Switzerland versus Ecuador. I think Switzerland will take the win over Ecuador. Ecuador could be a little bit of a dark horse, but yeah, I'm just going to go with a European nation over Ecuador. Then we've got Argentina versus Uruguay. I think this will be one of the best round of 32 matchups. I think it will be one of Argentina's very difficult matches just because Uruguay knows how they play so well. But I still think Argentina will advance, beating Uruguay. Then we have Colombia versus Ghana. I think Colombia will take this victory here. And then we have USA versus Egypt, and I think the host nations will advance. Moving on to our round of 16, we have Germany versus France, a big matchup coming into the round of 16, which is so early on in the tournament. I think France will win it, as I think they are one of the favorites to win the World Cup as well. Then we have South Korea versus Japan, and I think Japan will come out on top. I think Japan is probably the best Asian footballing nation here at this World Cup, so I think that they will go far. Then we have Morocco versus Norway. I think this is where Norway's time comes to an end, as I think Morocco have the better overall squad, and like I said, if I have to pick a dark horse, I'm picking Morocco. I think they're the best African nation at this World Cup, and I think they will have to do what it takes to get over Norway. Then we have Mexico versus England, and you know, I know a lot of people wish that Mexico would beat England, and it would be one of the most insane things to happen at this World Cup. And Mexico have a big home field advantage. I think they are probably the most passionate of the 3 host nations, but England have just such an amazing team in terms of like individual players. Also, Thomas Tuchel, their manager, is really very well known for his knockout tournament pedigree. And while I don't think England are the best team at this World Cup, I think they do get the best of Mexico. But I would personally love to see Mexico get the better of England in the round of 16. Then we have Portugal versus Spain, a big matchup coming into the round of 16. And this is where I think Portugal fall. I really don't think that Portugal have what it takes to get as far as people are saying they are. Obviously, I've seen people predict that Portugal will get first in their group, and that means that in the quarterfinals they would theoretically play Messi's Argentina. But even then, I think Argentina would beat Portugal, and I've seen a lot of people pick Portugal over Argentina for whatever reason. I think you guys are overhyping them to hell. Yes, they have a great midfield, but they are struggling up front. I think their back line isn't all that phenomenal either, and I just don't think that they have what it takes to go very far in this tournament. So I think now going up in my prediction against Spain. Spain will get the better of them. Turkey versus Belgium. I do think Turkey will overall beat Belgium. I think that they are just a better squad than Belgium. I know Belgium, like I said, are taking in basically nothing but veterans into this World Cup, and I think that Turkey will get the better of them just because Belgium doesn't do well in these kind of tournaments. They never have. They haven't since 2014, I would argue, or actually since 2018. They had a underwhelming Euros, the last two Euros, and now going into this, they had an underwhelming 2022, and now going into this World Cup, I don't think that it will be any different. Argentina versus USA. I mean, come on. Argentina is easily getting the best of the US. But I think it'll be interesting to see how the game plays out, especially with Messi now playing in the MLS. I think it will be a little bit emotional for those MLS fans who want to support Messi but also support the US. But I mean, it's gonna, if we go back to when they last played, which is the 2016 Copa America, I mean, Argentina dunked on them 4-0, which I wouldn't expect anything different going into this matchup. Switzerland versus Colombia. I think Colombia will get the better of them. As I said, Colombia is also another one of my dark horses, and I think Colombia, like I said, they just have that grit. They play dirty, and I think they know how to get the job done, and ultimately I think that they will go surprisingly far in this tournament. Then we go on to our quarterfinals, which we have France versus Japan, and unfortunately, I think this is where Japan's road at this World Cup ends. I think France is too strong for them personally, but, you know, I really rate Japan, and I would love to see Japan go even farther than this, but unfortunately, I just don't think that's possible here. Moving on, we have Spain versus Turkey, which is an interesting quarterfinal, but I think Spain will get it done. Like I said, their youth squad and just their overall balancing team is so promising, and I think that they will get the better of Turkey. Then moving on, we have Morocco versus England, and I think England will get it done. I think this is where Morocco's dark horse run comes to an end as well. Not going quite as far as they did in 2022, but still nonetheless very good for them. And I think, like I said, England just have the better squad, and with their coach as well, I think that they will outclass them. Then moving on to our final quarterfinal match, Argentina versus Colombia. This is the rematch of the 2024 Copa America final. And, you know, this could go either way, honestly, especially since the last time they played, they did go to extra time, but Argentina did win it in extra time thanks to Lautaro Martinez, and I think this will be no different. Argentina did finish first in CONMEBOL qualifying, and I think Colombia finished fourth or something like that. And while I rate Colombia, and I think, like I said, they have the grit and stuff to get things done, I don't think that they will overcome the world champions. Moving on to our semifinals, which I would love to get these semifinals. Obviously, they can go any way in the World Cup. You know, crazy things can happen, but I would love to see these semifinals. And our first semifinal is France versus Spain. This I could see going either way. Obviously, the last two times that these teams played, Spain have gotten the better of them, especially in that Euros where Lamine Yamal bursted onto the scene, scoring that goal against France, and then they also beat them in Nations League, what, like 5-3 or 5-4? I personally believe that Spain is the better nation. While France is a great nation and they have a lot of depth, I do think that France has an ego problem. It's already being reported that Kylian Mbappe is having a little bit of issues with N'Golo Kanté and other people in the locker room, and this is just starting at their international friendlies. And I think that is the problem that they've had at Madrid with, you know, Kylian Mbappe having an ego problem with, you know, Vinny and Rodrigo and all those other people. And I think here at France, it will be no different. Obviously, you've got people who want to be the superstar like Dembele, like, you know, Kylian Mbappe, Michael Olise, and Bradley Barcola. And I think ultimately it will be too much. And I think Spain's balanced and youthful squad will get the better of France, leading them to the final. And moving on to England versus Argentina. This is a tough one. England, you know, it has been since 1966 since they last won something. It will be the second time in, 12 years that they've gotten to a semifinal at the World Cup. And unfortunately, I think history is doomed to repeat itself for England. I don't think they can get over the helm. I don't think that they can reach a World Cup final just quite this time. And I think Argentina will go back to back in for World Cup finals. Now moving on to Argentina versus Spain. This is a very emotional final for me because two players who I truly love will be playing in this final: Lamine Yamal, Spain, and Lionel Messi's Argentina. My heart wants to say Argentina, and my brain is saying rationally that Spain's youth will will get the better of this aging Argentina team. However, Spain did recently tie against, I believe, like, maybe it was Egypt, maybe it was Iraq. I know it was a what's the word I'm looking for? Middle Eastern nation here in their international friendlies before going into this World Cup. Granted, they didn't play a lot of their starters. They didn't play Yamal. And if I had to say one thing that is Spain's downfall is the fact that they are young. And I think young and inexperienced can really affect you at a World Cup. I think you need to have veterans who have experience, who have done this before, and who have gone on to be successful in these tournaments in order to win them. And I think that Spain's squad is very young. And obviously, you know, they have won the Euros, but they have not played at a tournament like this before. Moving on to Argentina's side, Argentina is aging. You know, Messi is old. He will be 39 at this World Cup. He is slowing down. Obviously, they are the victors of the last World Cup, and they beat France, who was an incredible side at the 2022 World Cup. But, you know, they seem to be getting better with age, honestly. You know, I just watched them play yesterday. They won 3-0 against Iceland. They won 2-0 against Honduras a couple days ago. And this side can manage without Messi. That's the thing. They are a great side with or without him. I believe, you know, they're ranked number 1 for a reason. And I think it would be amazing to see a team go back-to-back at a World Cup. Obviously, Brazil has done it and Italy has done it. We haven't had a nation do it, I believe, since Brazil in 1958 and then in 1962. And I would love nothing more than Argentina to go back-to-back in 2022 and in 2026. And just because, based off of rankings, basically these recently performed teams, I do think, due to the experience and due to the fact that, you know, there's a little bit of destiny up in the air, Argentina will go back to back. Obviously, I think Spain could win the World Cup. I mean, as you see right here, the teams are predicted most to win is Spain at 22%, France at 21%, and then Portugal at 18%. Like I said, I don't know what you guys are smoking there with the Portugal. I really don't understand what you guys see in them. But I would love Argentina to go back to back. Obviously, if my brain is telling me, you know, to be reasonable, I don't see that a reason why Spain couldn't win this matchup as well. But I guess we will see. In terms of the Golden Boot winners and stuff like that, the Golden Boot, I think, will either go to Harry Kane or Julian Alvarez. Harry Kane's extremely in form at the moment, and so is Julian Alvarez. Julian Alvarez does have an easier group, which I think he can stat pad goals against, but I do think he will be important for Argentina at that forward position. The Golden Ball, I think the Golden Ball will go to, obviously, one of these two nations' biggest players. And I believe if Spain win it, I think it will be either Rodri or Pedri in the midfield. I think if Argentina win it, it will either go to Julian Alvarez or obviously Lionel Messi, depending on his performance at the World Cup this year. Yes, young player, I think it will go to Lamine Yamal at Spain. Obviously, he's only 18. He's probably the best player in the world, if we're being honest. And I think depending on how far Spain goes, they have to give the Young Player Award to Lamine Yamal. He'll probably win it at the next World Cup, if I'm being honest. Going to the Best Goalkeeper Award, I do think it will be Dibu Martinez again, especially if Argentina get this far and go on to win it. I'm in his character, the way that he plays. He's just an incredible goalkeeper, especially when he puts on that national team shirt. Then, am I missing anything else? Golden Ball, Golden Boot, Best Young Player, and Goalkeeper. I don't think that I'm missing anything else. So, therefore, those are my World Cup 2026 predictions. Tell me what you think I got wrong. Tell me what you think I got right. And yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing day. And let's just all hope that this World Cup is one to remember.